In this video, I follow on from my previous videos on using black paint. Today, we'll look at how I painted a small area of black fur on a tiger I've been working on. Hello, I'm Paul Hopkinson, a professional artist specialising in painting wildlife in watercolour. I'm also known as a Devon artist, and you find me on most social media channels. On my YouTube channel, I have a large catalogue of videos and tutorials, and I like to help and teach anyone who is learning all about watercolour. Today I want to show you how versatile black can be as a colour as I work on an actual painting. As you can see, I've already laid down a base foundation wash. This gives me a pale colour to work my detail over the top of, and we're going to start that now. I want to fill in the area below here. Now what I mean by that, I just want to make sure that I've got the dark in there to begin with. So I'm going to dampen it down first with a size 5 brush and clean water. There's a sable one, which is one from Rosemary & Co. I can't say the words. rosemary&co.co.uk. And this particular one is a Pure Sable Series 93. Now this is, the Series 93 is the Spotter series. I know other artists do use the Spotter series as well. But they are nice brushes because you've got quite a lot of control with them. You really have. So I'm going to start a little bit of bluey black in there to begin with, and this will dry much lighter as watercolour very often does. Now how much lighter watercolour dries depends on how much pigment you got in there as well. It really does. Now this particular one, because it's got blue in it, the French Ultramarine, is that French Ultramarine is a granulating colour. So you find within the palette it starts to separate from the lamp black. So you got a bit of blue showing there, you can just see it down the side there. So it will separate after a while. So you have to bear that in mind when you start using anything like that. So it's going to soften down this edge a little bit. Don't need to have it too soft because there's going to be a lot of dark going over there anyway. Just a little bit. A little bit more down there. Okay. Now that the second wash is dry, I've swapped my brush to a Winsor & Newton Cotman Series 111 size 00. This is probably my favourite brush actually, and as you can see, it's ideal for detail work. I'm gradually applying lots of fine lines with a slightly thicker bluey black mix. So I'm going to keep all the lines close together, and this starts to build the depth of colour that I'm after. At the same time, you can still see the lighter washes showing through in places. This effect gives the fur a realistic feel and makes it look like there's more to it than you can see on the surface. Varying the density of the lines will give different depths of colour. So where I want the fur to be slightly lighter, I'll apply my lines more spaced apart. This then reveals more of the lighter tones underneath, and that gives the impression of the fur being slightly paler in the area. Now the way I tend to work with these lines when I'm working on fur, or even feathers actually as well, is that instead of doing them too parallel like that, overlap them. So you're doing crisscross like that all the time with the line. See the idea? Elongated though, to elongate those crisscrosses, and that's what I'm doing all the way through. Each time the hairs I paint go over the top of another hair, underneath a darker tone is created. The process of laying down a single layer of a single colour in effect produces fur with multiple colour variations within it. That's what makes it look so real. If I had simply started with a much thicker mix, I would paint the fur much more quickly, but with far fewer brush strokes. Therefore, the colour variations across the whole area would be much more limited and less lifelike. Now I'm looking at the length of these lines as well, and the angle as well of these lines. These are going towards probably 4 o'clock, as you can see they're pointing towards, and they're going to suddenly switch round to about 2 o'clock. They really are. They quickly move around and become into little stipple marks as well. Now all stippling is, if you don't know the stippling technique, it's just tiny dots. A bit like pointillism really, the way it tends to work. Little tiny dots all the way through and down. Okay, gradually building up. So you can see the way this is gradually building up now for the eye. I've sort of got the majority of the colour on, but I'm yet to apply another layer of the same colour, which will really make the difference between the darker edges and the pale centre of this area. I'll just build this one gradually. I'm going to get a little bit of that blue as well. Now the colours I'm using, as I said before, This is lamp black and French ultramarine, and so is this, but this is 50-50, and that's more black than blue. Got the idea? So that's basically what I'm working with, these two colours here. Try and get them on your screen so you can see what I'm working with. And it's all about, as I mentioned before, gradually building up the detail as I go along, overlapping these lines. Now you can see this is looking much better now. I'm getting the second layer of this dark colour on. Doesn't take long, really doesn't. But then again, it depends how big the painting is. When I've worked on very large commissions, very large paintings, then yes, working with a little 00 size brush can take quite a while to do. It really can. You just have to be patient and take regular breaks, and you will get there. Now, many of you will know that I often use what I call a replicator brush. Mine's homemade, but you can buy equivalent brushes called rake or comber brushes. They all produce multiple lines at the same time, so they're ideal for painting fur. Indeed, I use one for applying the orange fur you can see around the eye. I'll pop a card in the top right for another video all about this type of brush that you may find useful. Anyway, I really don't recommend these for areas like this. For starters, it's quite a small part of the painting, and secondly, the hairs are, as we just saw, laying in a wide variety of directions. It would be very difficult, if not impossible, to get a replicator brush to achieve the same accuracy and effect that you can get with a smaller detailed brush. As you can see here, I'm being very precise as I apply the lines that merge into the surrounding orange fur. I certainly don't want them looking too even or parallel. That just wouldn't be lifelike or real looking. Instead, I want each hair to be different, their angles, thickness and length to vary too. So, I would always suggest the use of a size 00 brush when you're working on this sort of level of detail. Over the last 6 minutes, you've seen me paint multiple brush strokes, and now I've pretty much created a patch of black fur on this tiger. With this layer nearly complete, I'll probably soften the lines down with a clean, damp brush and then wait for them to dry, and then repeat the process one more time to really fine tune the area and get it looking how I want it. Now I hope you found this short video useful. If you did, why not leave me a comment? Each comment encourages YouTube to share the video to more people, and that really helps my channel grow. By the way, I have a much longer video on painting black fur, where I really go into depth on mixing colours and applying lines. You can see it to the top right. I'll see you there.